So the third risk we'll talk about today is unencrypted weak authentication pages, and that accounts for 10% of the total risk instances we observed across the internet. So weak authentication, when we talk about this specifically, we're talking about, in our case, basic or digest authentication methods, which are really not secure ways to transmit credentials these days. So basic authentication uses base64 encoding and sends those in the request. And digest authentication uses, I think, MD5. And so both of these are in no way or shape or form secure ways to transmit credentials, particularly when they're done over an unencrypted connection. So while these are not necessarily considered best practice authentication methods, it's also really important to ensure that they are, if you do use these, that they're sent over TLS. Because if you don't, this leaves your credentials vulnerable to theft through man-in-the-middle attacks. And this might not sound super concerning or, oh, that couldn't happen, but credential theft is actually a hugely popular tactic among threat actors even now. It's not a new tactic. It's a tale as old as time, but it continues to happen. In fact, Verizon's 2022 data breach investigations report actually indicates that use of stolen credentials or hacking is one of the top action varieties or tactics that they observed in their survey of incidents and breaches. And so this is still a tactic that's alive and well. So if I were coming into an organization as a security hire, this, as Himija mentioned, this would be something I would want to address fairly quickly, because I would want to make sure that credentials, whether they're to internal resources or user-facing things, that they're not at risk for being hijacked in this way. And on the right, you can just see an example from Mozilla's developer documentation of basic authentication, which again would recommend against. So we talked about using a better authentication method. OAuth is a common alternative to these that can often offset some of the transmitting the credentials themselves, because it uses a token instead. But also using encryption. Encrypting your traffic is absolutely a best practice. Highly recommend that you do that for both internal applications, anything internet facing, all the traffic, encrypt it all.